What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. After Sound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here on the channel every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday morning, so come by and say hello. This video is also brought to you by My Music, as we don't do any sponsorships here, so I'll go ahead and shill that out. I put out a new single recently called By Your Side, and would appreciate if you give it a listen. Let me know what you think. It's available anywhere you listen to music. All right, guys, let's get into the topic of today's video, which is LPs, and specifically, what are my favorite liquidity pools. So I've actually had not one, but two people, or actually maybe even more than that, ask me, okay, with all the LP changes, are you still participating? What are you into? Right? Because I had a pretty strong position in the the ETH SPS LP, which obviously the rewards were taken away from that. And so I've had to reconsider where things are at. And you can see here now that I don't have much, or if any at all, in the LPs currently. But I wanted to talk about where my view is, and this is wrong, right? This says my share is 0.23%. That's off. I don't have anything in there, so it's just strange that it says that. And same thing with this. I don't have anything in the SPS swap.hive pool either, so random. Either way, so that is what was asked of me. I'm going to do my best to give, again, my personal take. This is not financial advice. I have no idea where any of this goes, but I'm just going to try to do a little bit of an analysis on, if I were to deploy capital, how I would view these pools. Again, I don't know where things go or whatever it is, but I'm just trying to analyze risk to reward and how I expect certain things to operate within the course of the next 12, 18 months if we get a bull run, considering impermanent loss and all that fun stuff, right? So when it comes to impermanent loss specifically, these are the two pools that really bug me, the DEC swap.hive and DEC SPS. But I'm going to hold off on that because I want to cover maybe the easier ones first, which is the SPS BNB pool and the SPS swap.hive pool. Now, SPS BNB is similar to the SPS ETH. Again, I liked it. BNB is a top 10 token. I don't think it's going anywhere. It's pumped during the last pump, and I don't think it's going anywhere. So I think it's relatively safe. But what you have to be concerned about is, if you believe in SPS, then therefore the return on SPS could be significantly higher than BNB. So while both are correlated, there could be some potential impermanent loss in the sense where the higher SPS goes in value, the less SPS you'll have overall. So if BNB is going to do like a 50% move or a 2x, right? But SPS does a hopefully 5, 10x or something like that. That's going to recalibrate your holdings. But at the end of the day, if you're just worried about like the US dollar value and you think both of them are going to go up, and it doesn't really matter, because as long as your US dollar value is increasing and you're going to pull out at some point, then that's fine, right? Similarly, with SPS swap.hive, now I think that these are actually a little bit more correlated. We saw that with the last bull run, which again, it's like a sample size of 1, so you can't really use that as a data point. But we did see Hive move during the bull run at the same time that SPS was moving, right? Hive reached like $3 or something, which is kind of crazy. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that if Hive gains steam or Splinterlands gains steam, we're now even more interconnected, right? And there's this added incentive for both of us, SPS and Hive, to help the other. So if that does end up happening, right, if one or the other takes off, I can see both moving. Again, I don't know what the correlation of that is. If you look at, swap.hive, just Hive in general, what would that be? A 15x, probably 15, 17, 18x, whatever it is, to get back to $3. I don't even know if that happens, right? But like, you compare that to SPS. But once again, if you don't care about the impermanent loss, then it doesn't really matter. If you think both of them are going to go up, then, good for you. Right now, this is also paying the best APR at 20% out of these pools. Okay, so looking at the DEC pools now, what I wanted to get into more so with these was the impermanent loss, because if you expect Hive and or SPS to go up over time, then you are actively and ready to suffer from impermanent loss. Again, if all you care about is the US dollar value and you think the ecosystem is going to be healthy at some point, more power to you. Then that's totally fine, right? But just know that you lose some of the upside for SPS and swap.hive. And what I mean by that is DEC has a natural ceiling. If it goes above its intended peg of 1,000 DEC per dollar, then you will get people burning SPS for DEC and selling it on the market to get it back, right? That arbitrage is going to happen because it's too profitable not to. Somebody's going to take advantage of it. I don't think we will ever see DEC get high above peg, for extended periods of time, or even like extremely above peg, just because, the bots or whatever will come in and arbitrage all of that away. So when you're thinking about these, it's like, okay, let's say I'm going to put, X amount of SPS and X amount of DEC. The thing is, as they both start to rise, DEC is going to level off at some point. And therefore, if SPS continues to rise, because that's how it's designed, and similarly with Hive, right, you would hope that Hive continues to go up without a ceiling during a bull run, then you end up with less Hive and less SPS, and therefore the impermanent loss is quite severe. I mean, intended, but severe, right? Much more severe than two assets that are much more correlated, which would be, BNB or Hive with SPS. So, I don't particularly like these pools. Again, I have like a little bit in here, but I don't even remember when I put it in, and it's giving me like, half an SPS a day or something like that. So I would say, again, these aren't my favorite. I even made a video recently talking about how I think that we should completely get rid of the DEC swap.hive pool to reduce inflation for both. Actually, I think we should get rid of both of these and the rewards for both of these on Hive, right? And bring the DEC SPS pool in game and essentially pay out rewards for that through the fees, right? So that would make it similar to the other pools here: DEC voucher, DEC grain. Now, I don't have much commentary on either of these. I think that they're just pools that need to exist, right? If you want to participate in them, you can. I think DEC or grain is like overspent right now. I don't even know what the APRs on this are. I mean, we could try to take a look, but we're doing $38 worth of activity. I mean, well, what's interesting? Look at this, $3,100. There's $3,000 worth of activity over the past 30 days, but in the past 24 hours, it's only $38. So is there an opportunity here? Yes, maybe. It's much more difficult to quantify. I think if you want to participate, you can, but from an investment standpoint, if I can't like easily identify, if I can't easily identify like the upside, I just kind of stay away from it. And again, I have some in both of these pools that I just put in there to be part of the ecosystem, right? It's not like I'm sitting there waiting on like, I can't wait for, the price to rise to XYZ. I don't even know what the price for, grain is necessarily. Now, here's the thing. Between these two, grain, we just don't know what's happening with land. So that is a huge like unknown. That could happen this year. That could happen next year. That could happen 2026. I know that they're trying to get other resources in, and so that should actually make grain a little bit more scarce, which is kind of cool because, I mean, that would make it more valuable. That would actually make the volume higher, which would increase the fees and the rewards therefore paid out. So that could be interesting, but again, huge unknown. And then vouchers, well, you know how I feel about vouchers. Although I do like the fact that, there's a very streamlined thing for vouchers now. If people want to sell, they go through this. If you want to participate, you can. I don't think people need to. I don't look at either of these as a way to be like, fully invested into the ecosystem. So these are the 6 here. Now I have a surprise for you. Okay. I do have a surprise for you because I'm going to talk about a couple more that I don't think people are thinking about. And these are very much huge unknowns, but they are related to the sister projects that Splinterlands is involved with, right? So Splinterlands' sister company is Invenium, which did launch the GLS platform, Genesis League Sports, and then also the Arcade Colony platform. And each of those are designed similarly to Splinterlands in the sense where they have a governance token, governance reward token, and then also a stable coin, right? Roughly stable coin. So for the Arcade Colony ecosystem, that is Script. And then for the Genesis League system, it's GLUSD, right? Genesis League US dollar. Now, each of these are so far below peg, right? I mean, so is DEC, but like Script is like 20% of its peg. I don't even know where GLUSD is. There's not much volume on these. But if you remember a while back, I talked about what made the Terra Luna ecosystem thrive before it blew up, right? It's because people were coming in and chasing stupidly high APRs on an algorithmic stablecoin, right? For people who don't remember, there was UST, right? US Terra that allowed people to essentially have an algorithmic stablecoin pegged to the US dollar and earn 20% on it, which was, should have been a huge red flag anyway. But this is different in the sense where you're coming in and it's part of liquidity pool. So you actually are providing some kind of value to the ecosystem, right? And there are rewards paid out for that rather than it just being, hey, we're going to print, 20% for folks that decide to hold and put it into the Anchor protocol. But here's the thing. I don't know what's going on with any of the other projects. They seem to be very slow. They seem to not be releasing anything. And that should scare you away from them appropriately, right? So even though DEC Script is paying out 12.5%, right, and that's being paid out in the Colony token, DEC GLUSD is paying out 4.2%. What could get interesting, right? What could get interesting is if all of a sudden these ecosystems decide to blow up. Now, here's the thing, and part of the reason why. Again, none of this financial advice. I have no idea what's going to happen. I don't know anything about what's going on with these projects. I've tried to ask in the Discords, and it's just, I don't know. It's just like crickets in there. But here's the thing. It doesn't seem like they're dead. And if Splinterlands does take off, I do think that there is a rising tide raises all ships moment where people come into the ecosystem and they look around at what other games they can easily get into. I did the same thing. I know many others did the same thing when we came into Splinterlands. There was Rising Star. There was Golem Overlord, which launched at some point. I got into Decrops, of which I also played these games, right? TerraCore is another one. There were a bunch of different games that existed on the Hive or within the Hive ecosystem. And the fact that these two are closely related to Splinterlands, I mean, they're literally part of the same like sister companies, right? I think if people come in, they like Splinterlands and they start looking at, there's like sports related games here, or there's arcade related games here, right? The kart racing and potentially the casino style thing. That could raise the tide, and again, rising tide raises all boats, and therefore kind of supercharge those ecosystems. At which point, if right, like Colony is trading at like something stupidly low, and if it were to do like here, let's just for context, like Colony is trading at 0.00037. Right, like that's and GLX is not much farther ahead, like 0.00048. So if at any point Colony or GLX becomes something that ends up being desirable, because these are the two reward tokens that are being paid out, if those ecosystems can ever take off, and even just do like a 10x, right? And again, a 10x would not even be a penny yet, right? For either of them, right? It would be like less than half a penny for both of them if they were to do a 10x. What I'm talking about here is all of a sudden this 12% becomes 120%. Okay, so that is where things start to look interesting, and all of a sudden people start piling in to these liquidity pools, because it's like, well, who doesn't want to get 120% on two stable coins, roughly stable coins? So again, I'm not saying that this is the best thing to do. I don't even have much, if any, in either of these pools. But it is something that I am thinking about and that I am watching, because if these start to take off, well, then anytime that I want to park, value in roughly stable coins, I would probably consider putting it in there. But that's all I got. All right, so we'll see how things play out over the next couple of months here. If either of those other platforms can launch any games or game updates. But at this point in time, I think it's very, very high risk with no reward at this point, right? Like it would actually need to launch before there would be any kind of reward. So, I mean, I guess you could take advantage of the 12% or 4% APR, but again, there's better areas in which I think you can park capital for the time being. So that is all I have for you guys in this video. Again, none of this is financial advice. It's just my opinion, my perspective, trying to break it down from, some kind of analytical point of view. Hopefully that makes sense. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to let me know in the comment section below. Otherwise, I'll catch you all in the next video and see you around the game. Take care.